The silence is quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we would take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains, and I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again.
Good afternoon. You're tuned into Ability Matters, the program that covers matters to do with abilities, disabilities and everything in between. We are one of the longest running disability-related shows in the world, starting as Headway On Air all the way back in 2007 and now brought to you by My Home Living Care, an NDIS registered disability support organisation.
Yes, that's right, Sean. This is Ability Matters and I'm your host, Tony Scott, and with me as per usual is my co-host, Rebecca. How are you, Beck?
Beck from Flagstaff. How are you going today, Tony?
Going pretty well. I've got some good news and good stuff.
Oh, really?
Well, it's more of a personal thing. I'll just say good news, okay? So, yeah.
Good news week.
Thank you.
Cool.
And I'm not supposed to reveal anything personal. I'll just say good news, okay? Good stuff.
You've had a good outcome.
That's
what
and who we have with us today? We have an interview lined up.
We do. We have from the Invisible Injury podcast, we have Mark, and we also have the person that put it together, Phil. So we're going to have a little bit of a chat to Mark and find out what led to all this podcast making and why it's come about. So I suppose we'll have a song first, and then we'll get straight into it and chat more with Mark after that.
Right, well, first thing I'm going to do is part of the protocol thing as usual. I'll touch on the weather for today. As we can see, if it looks outside, it's certainly sunny at the moment, but officially, we're going for Tuesday. It's going to be sunny, as I said. Light winds becoming north by northwesterly, 15 to 25 kilometres an hour in the middle of the day, which is basically now. So we're only going to look at the wind getting lighter throughout the evening as well later tonight. Our chance of rainfall, however, is only 5%, so it's basically not going to rain at all today. The amount is less than 1 millimetre. The fire danger rating is still moderate and UV index is also moderate. So, plus we're currently sitting at about 23.5 degrees Celsius. So, but I don't know why they always say it feels like 21, but I can't tell the difference.
I don't know if that's to do with the wind gusts or I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway. So, okay, we're going to jump straight into the first tune. I've got one up for us, some Rolling Stones, Hot Stuff, 1976 album, Black and Blue. Here we go. 106.9 VOX FM. Okay, yes, of course, that was just Rolling Stones, Hot Stuff, from 1976 album, Black and Blue. And now we're back into the interview with Beck, Phil and Tom. No, sorry, I got the name wrong. Phil and Mark. Sorry, Mark, yes.
Well done.
My memory's not the best.
We're reversing it too.
Okay, sorry.
Phil and Mark.
Yeah.
But no, you're doing well. You're doing well. You got the names right. That's half the battle.
Yes, beautiful.
Okay, so I'll jump straight into it, Mark. Thank you so much for coming on today's program and having a chat with us about your podcast and what led you to make that podcast. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you for asking me.
Not a problem. Your story sounds very interesting. So we'll start off by asking, can you tell us how everything started? I've got some notes on how it started, but I'd like to hear it from you.
Okay. Firstly, back in 2007, I went into the specialist to take a look at a little bit of a sunspot that was on my side of my nose, and the doctor said it's a cancerous type of thing and it needs to be taken out, which I'd had a few of them before that taken out as well. And anyway, he was a bit uncertain as to whether or not he'd do it in his surgery or his rooms.
I mean, local?
Or do it in hospital under a general anaesthetic. So I said, look, it didn't worry me. And he said, well, look, I'd prefer to probably do it in hospital just in case I've got to, because it's on the nose, on your side of your nose, you've got to, there could be a thing where he's got to do extra work, and it's a better sort of, environment, obviously, to do it in.
Safer, yeah.
So anyway, I said, yes, that's fine. So went into hospital to have the procedure done, and I went in perfectly well, and I expected to. I had the day off work. I expected to go back to work the next day, and at some stage, either during the procedure or at some point in time, when I woke up after the operation had been carried out, I slowly started to realise that there was something wrong with me. I had a massive headache. I couldn't talk. I couldn't move hardly at all, and it basically sent the doctors and the staff into a tailspin because they didn't know what had happened. And anyway, it took quite a while before eventually they took me into intensive care, and I was in intensive care for a couple of days until again they sort of tried to sort out what was going on. But as each day went on, I basically found out that there was things that weren't what they used to be. I found out that I couldn't read, that I couldn't write, and when I went to walk, I couldn't walk properly. I had a lag in my right arm and a lag in my left leg. And then as it progressively went along, I found out I couldn't organise myself. I couldn't make any decisions, and it was all just a total blur to a certain extent on how I was before I went into hospital.
Oh wow, that's a massive change for something that you would just think, oh yeah, I'm going to be in and out, and
that's right.
So quickly, and then all of a sudden, no, hang on a moment, that's not quite how it's going to go.
Yep.
Wow. So you pretty much explained all the different symptoms they had. What was the current like? What was the condition that they actually put that down to?
Well, even to this day, they're still uncertain. I had to have specialists look at me, and both locally here and in Sydney as well, and they basically said that I'd suffered a diffuse hypoxic brain injury, and it was sort of in the Ponds area, which is the centre of the highway, basically, and the cause of it they don't know. So, but it was lack of oxygen, basically lack of oxygen to the brain. At one point in time, while that procedure was either underway or immediately after it, or whatever.
Oh wow, that's amazing. That was quite a mouthful that you actually said there to tell what it was. So I can't quite repeat it. Maybe you can. But that's amazing. So there's no real name that you can put to it besides something.
Well, they classify it as hypoxia.
Yeah, I got deoxygenation.
Yeah, so
the brain was cut off from oxygen. Yes.
Exactly. So
it's like being choked, but without being choked. Yeah.
Yeah. That's virtually in a nutshell, really. Yeah.
To put it loosely. Yeah. For the listeners to understand properly. Yeah.
Yep.
Help me understand it as well, because I was like, what? So from that, I suppose, check the time there, maybe we'll jump into a song if that's all right, Tony.
Sure.
Come back and we'll find out more about this intriguing story.
Well, I'm not sure
I'm
how...
interested to find out more. I
don't know how feeling the song's going to be, because, it's the Eagles. I've got it lined up next to the Eagles. I Can't Tell You Why from 1980.
It's actually pretty fitting. Can't tell you why.
Exactly, okay. That's what I was just going for. It's okay. Yes, that was just Eagles with a Can't Tell Your Why from the 1980 album, The Long Run. And now I'm getting back to Rebecca, Bec, Mark and Phil. Go for it, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tony. So we're going to delve a little bit more deeper into Mark's story. It's a very interesting story. For those of you that are just tuning in, it's something that occurred from a simple sunspot and led into a much bigger brain injury occurrence. Hypoxia, is that the word?
I believe that's where you have a cut-off, because hypoxia is,
A cut-off of oxygen
a lower
in the
supply
brain.
of oxygen to the brain, that's right, yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to find out a little bit more about what that actually does for Mark and his daily living. So I'm wondering, how does that actually affect different things that you have to do now, like things like not just your dexterity, which is how you move around, but also memory and things like that. How does it work? Are you as good as you were, or is there lots of things that have changed?
There's lots of things that are different. One of the many ways, I've lost my ability to plan things and to initiate things. I rely heavily on my wife, who's my greatest supporter. And
Quite welcome to give a shout out. What was your wife's name?
Asundra.
She's a lovely lady. I hear she's on the board at Flagstaff as well.
So something of a carer, yes, as well for yourself, yeah?
Yeah, and my family in general have been
Supportive,
very
yes.
supportive. I've got 3 children, and they all of them have been supportive. And without them, without them, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. But anyway, it's affected me in a number of ways.
That's very commendable, how you can give credit where credit's due. Lovely.
Yeah. I suffer from depression, which I've got all under control. But originally it was terrible. I've never had depression in my life.
I dare say most people in those sort of situations that have massive life changes are a bit of why.
Yep. And I never had any back. There's no background in my family for depressive illness, and since the event, that's sort of come on in my case. But my memory is good in some ways. My long-term memory is really sharp and clear, but my short-term memory is all over the place.
Foggy, yeah.
If I'll go to do something at home, and I'll go outside to the garage or whatever and get something, and I'll get out there and I'll scratch my head saying, "What the heck am I doing? Exactly. What have I got to get?"
I can speak to you now as a person who's also suffered a brain injury. Short-term memory is it's like non-existent.
Yeah.
But the long-term is still sharp.
Yeah.
Like you still remember things when you were like in primary school, but you can't remember what you did 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Well, it comes and goes in my case for the short-term memory. Most of the time I've got to rely on prompts from either my wife or my family, or I try to make notes and reminders, but the trouble is then I forget to write it down.
You forget to check the reminder too.
That's exactly it. You forget to check your reminders. Mm-hmm. And lots of people have said, "I'll put it in your diary or put it in your calendar on your phone or your computer," but I'll go to do it and I get distracted very easily, and
I can relate.
It literally just comes off the rails, and you're back to square one again. So
that's not
in that case, that's something that doesn't seem to be getting any improvement with. Anyone that's had a brain injury finds that they'll make advances and you'll plateau, and then you might decline a bit, and then you'll make a pretty good advance, and then you'll plateau again. So it's like the old thing, 1 step forward and 2 steps back.
Exactly.
Or 2 steps forward and 1 step back.
That's very similar to what I was told myself by certain specialists. You get in the very early days, you find yourself improving until you reach a certain level of plateau, and then once you reach that mark, you'll only notice decreases.
That's it.
the decline. That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm interested, only because I have a bit of mobility issues myself. You said that you weren't able to use your arms and legs and there was not much movement. Was there a lot of work that you had to put in to get all that functioning well again?
Yeah, I as I said, I had a lag in my right arm when I walked, and I'd have to remind myself, and I still, even to this day, I still have to do it as well. I remind myself to move my right arm. And I had a lag I still have a lag in my left leg. I ended up getting foot drop as a result of that as well.
Oh, yes. For those that don't know, that's when your actual ankle doesn't rotate and move up and down as well. So your foot pretty much hangs in the relaxed position.
Thank you,
and
Bec.
doesn't want to lift up too much.
I was just about to ask what a foot drop is, so thank you.
Yep. So that's
It's a
it.
stroke term as well.
Okay.
And anyway, I had lots of therapies. I had physiotherapy. I had hydrotherapy. I had speech therapy. I had to, as I said, I developed a really bad stutter from it, and I had to learn how to talk again properly. And one of the I can remember now, one of the sort of training things that they put me through for the speech therapy was a thing called the Maguire method. And the Maguire method was a way of speaking, and basically you learn how to take a breath before you spoke, and not necessarily then in the middle of when you're speaking. And the speech therapist that taught me all of this, Sue, was really, really good.
So sorry, for you, to me to try and understand, does that mean taking a breath in preparation of you saying a sentence?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, at the start, instead of speaking until your voice runs out and then continuing the sentence.
So it's kind of like
in the next breath.
Loading your voice, loading your throat. Yeah.
Best example I can give for that, I don't know if you agree, there's a show called Malcolm in the Middle, and they had a gentleman on there called Stevie.
Yep.
And he used to talk like this.
Yes.
Every word had a breath.
in
breath.
it. Yep,
So
yep.
I'm not sure how well, if you were like that at the beginning and it had to build up.
Well, see, in my case, I had all the information, in my head for what the conversation might be, but it was just trying to get that information out, and I'd start to talk and I'd forget what I was talking about. Then the next thing would be I'd be sort of totally lost as to where do I go back in that conversation, how far back, and that was really difficult to try and overcome as well. So
that would be a massive challenge, and I'm mindful of not interrupting you too much when you're speaking, so you don't lose your train of thought as well, because I know that can be bring on quite a lot of anxiety and things like that when you're trying to get out what you want to say.
I can relate so much to that, you have no idea, because the mind is already enough of a maze as it is, and the brain injury there's no more signage anywhere, so you just can't, everything, your thoughts and memories are still there, you just can't access them quickly enough to speak on a regular, ordinary basis. Yeah.
So even now, some 17 years, 18 years after the event, I still suffer from noise. Still sets me back.
Yep.
Loud noise, and particularly unexpected noise. If someone
shocking noise
was to drop something,
yep,
I'd be through the roof. Everyone gets butterflies in their stomach from when they hear a noise unexpectedly. But most people will overcome those butterflies in about a couple of seconds.
Yes.
But with me, it'll last for probably maybe 30 seconds, or if not even more.
Okay.
And when we go out somewhere, I've got to basically somehow get myself placed in a position where I can see what's going on in front of me, and I face the crowd at a cafe or wherever, so I can see things that are happening, and I'm preparing myself that plate's going to drop, or that person's going to trip over or something like that, and I can sort of prepare myself.
Right.
Yeah.
A little bit of a contingency plan before you get in there of how you're going to react.
Exactly, and my wife is the best advocate to help me with that, because she will strategically sort of look at the whole overall room very quickly, and she'll say, I think you should sit here or sit there or whatever, and which is great. So
amazing that that a lot of people don't really delve too deeply into what their differences of living on a daily basis is, but I think you've pretty much given us a really good indication of all the changes that you've had to go through and have experienced over the years. So I suppose, if you don't mind, get Tony to play another song, if that's okay. Yeah.
Okay, it's currently 28 minutes till the end of the show. Oh, sorry, end of the show. Till 12 o'clock, so 12:30. I'm a little bit
28 minutes past 12.
That's the one. You can read a little bit better than me. Thank you, Nick. Yeah.
It's all good, because I looked at the clock.
Okay, so I've got the next song coming up. It's going to be a track from the 80s, Clarence Clemens and Jackson Brown with You're a Friend of Mine from 1985. So we just jumped straight back into the interview between Bec, Mark and Phil.
Thank you very much, Tony. Good music selection as well. So, Mark, I'm really interested as to, we had a little bit of a discussion while we were off the air, and you put a really great analogy forward about a trodden path and how that had been explained to you. So I find that would be your challenge most of the time, that you would have to navigate through that. So could you please let people know what that analogy and how you would explain that?
Sure.
Listeners who may have missed it.
Yeah, sure. The psychologist I was seeing gave me a description of, if you're walking along a grass track, that track is pretty well worn down and an easy path to sort of get through, because you've done it day in, day out.
Many times.
But with a brain injury, that grass track all of a sudden has a stop point where you can't go any further on that same old routine that you've been used to for all your life.
Yeah.
And you have to go around that original track. So you're deviating around.
Step away from what you're comfortable with.
Exactly, to get back onto that track again. And that different deviation that you're taking, that can take a long time to get through and get around until you've worn another path in that new route that you're taking. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know if people imagined a rock, I don't know, a landslide or some rocks or a bit of a mud patch or something, just that you can't get through that track. So just putting a visual to give you guys behind what Mark was explaining.
Hopefully providing a good analogy.
Yeah, so when you're going along that path, you might, as Mark said, you have to go off for a long time. So you may be walking through long grass, you might be walking through bushes, could be a whole heap of different things, but essentially you've got to navigate your way back to that path so that you're able to do the same sort of thing that you were able to do before. I hope I'm getting this right.
Yes. Yep.
And I think that it's important for most people to think about, if something pops up and something happens to you and you've got to go off that normal path that you usually walk, be prepared to go through that minefield, I suppose you would put it, until you get back onto the path that you'd like to get back on.
Yep.
So it's like, my little 2 cents worth to add to that is like comparing a bicycle track to a dirt path sort of thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So, of course, a bicycle path is clear and concrete and everything like that, whereas a dirt path doesn't really have any direction to follow.
Yeah, you could have some dents in the or some rocks or things like that. Then you might have to try and get around a little bit.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. So my next question for you, Mark, would be, I'm just wondering if there are any words of wisdom you would like to share with our listeners, because you sound like you've had to go through a whole heap of different ways of doing things over such a long period of time, that you might have come up with some ways to cope.
There's a few things that you know, every day sometimes seems like it's the same, and there's no difference, and you tend to think to yourself, well, you know, look forward to tomorrow, which is great, but what's tomorrow going to bring? You know, is it the same routine as what you've done today or whatever? As I said, I've been extremely lucky and grateful that I've had fantastic support from my family and also from the health professionals, if you want to use that word, who've, you know, been able to steer me in the right direction. I've had you know, a psychologist that's been incredible. There's been, you know, as I said before, there's been speech therapists and, you know, physiotherapists and all sorts of other people that you know, have steered me into a direction where it's not good, but it's better than what it was quite a few years ago after the injury.
So it's not back to what you remember it was, but it's, like you said, beneficial, better than it is at the moment, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Improvement. Yes.
Well, I think I've got to the point now where, you know, it's been a really hard, long slog for everyone involved,
of course, to
get to this point. But, you know, you have expectations, and sometimes those expectations don't, you know, aren't achievable, or they just don't happen. Or otherwise, there's other cases where, you know, I could go on for ages saying different examples of where you have disappointments and little curls come into the routine that throw you off the track, and you know you're always looking at basically trying to do your best, and sometimes your best is probably, you know, more than what would be expected. Other times your best, you know, sometimes you think, well, you know, that wasn't a great effort, you know, maybe I should put a bit more effort into it.
All effort is effort. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad, it's still effort.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But never give up trying. That's the thing. I think that's pretty important. And if you need help or assistance, or whatever word you want to put to it, you know, there's people out there that are able to assist. There's not a lot, but there are people out there that can help you in different ways, and there's different organisations that can help you. But I think the takeaway that I'd probably say would be, you know, don't give up, even though sometimes it's you know, the option is to give up. Don't worry about you know, anything else down the track. But that's not the case. It's you know, keep on going, and you know, you won't necessarily have these, you know, crystal clear blue sky days. You'll always have the cloudy days, but at the end of that day, you know that you've done your best, or you've tried your best. And keep moving on from there.
Awesome. That is awesome advice, because people tend to give up when they're 80% of the way up the hill. They just need to dig in and go a little bit more, because you'll get over that, and it won't be such a hard slog.
Giving up, as you may have said, is certainly the easier option, but if you don't give up, what you get at the end is always worth it. It feels like you've earned it, and you've worth it. Of course, you've earned it. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, my last question for you today, if you don't mind entering, please, Mark. Could you share where you are now, like compared to what you began? How far do you think you've come? How much have you improved?
It's probably it's a good question, but it's probably a difficult one to sort of say that.
There's no line in the sand where you were before.
Yeah, it's hard to sort of say, well, look, compared to what I was in my old life, if there's such a word.
Not your old life. I'm talking about from when you were first in the hospital bed.
Yep. Oh, well,
how much has that improved for you in your
by far,
life?
By far. So for some things still haven't improved, but overall, by far. But there are things that I've come to grips with that I'll have to what you get.
Check that.
Is what you get is what it is. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I knew you very well in like hospital terms or anything like that, but I can already see you're talking. You're obviously able-bodied. You'll be able to walk around and everything like that. You can look after yourself. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
So in my books, that's 2 thumbs up all the time.
Yeah, thank you. But it's a thing that you've got to sort of keep working at it, and don't sort of just say, well, look, that's it. I can't do this, or I can't. And I used to do that and still do it sometimes. I can't do this, or I won't be able to do that. And as I said, luckily with support, I get through those situations where I think that I can't do it, and then I've done it.
Yeah, without even realising you've
That's
done it.
That's the right attitude. Looking back, yes, I did it. Or done it, however you want to put it,
Yep.
Awesome. So we'll jump into another song if we could please now, Tony, and then we'll come back and talk a bit more about where we can find this podcast. I think it's
that's
intriguing.
the important stuff, yeah. I'm going to play a little info slog for you then we're going to get into America with Lady with a Bluebird from 1984 album Perspective. The Illawarra's greatest community radio station. Yes, thank you. That was just Lady with a Bluebird by America. Now get back to the interview with Bec, Mark and Phil.
Cool, thank you. So I suppose we're going to wrap up today just to find out a bit more about the podcast that you have,
Invisible Injury.
Oh,
This is Phil.
See, independent. I was going to say independent living. Like what?
No, that's a little different.
No, so invisible injury. So I suppose this is where you jump in, Phil, and tell us a little bit more about where we could actually. Is that just called invisible injury that you can find that?
How do we access it?
Or is it on YouTube, Spotify? Like whereabouts is that?
Yes, you can find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all of those other kind of platforms that play podcasts. Not on YouTube.
Not on YouTube.
But if you go to any of those other ones, you search up Invisible Injury. There's a lot of podcasts in the world, so there may be another one called that. So maybe the other word you could put in, if you wrote in Mark's name into a search engine, you just wrote Mark, and Asunta's a very well-known name, so she might appear. The name of the production company is Co-Equal, Co-Equal. So if you searched Invisible Injury and Co-Equal, you would definitely find it wherever you listen to podcasts.
Sorry for butting in there. Are we talking like if you search it through something like a search engine like Google, that will come up?
It would come up in Google, but in your Apple Podcasts or in Spotify, if you just go to your little search bar and you type in Invisible Injury and Co-Equal, it will come up.
Wonderful.
Oh, awesome. And Co-Equal is all one word, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so it breaks down to 2, but it's all smashed together as one.
Yes.
Sorry, that's it. Not very descriptive.
Yep, doesn't matter.
It's like you mash it into one word. Awesome. So, just so that I suppose we give people a little bit of a heads up, around how long does the podcast actually go for?
Over to you, Phil.
Okay, Mark says it's over to me. Look, there's 6 episodes, so it's really it goes into a lot of detail, and it tells
so it's
the
like
whole.
A series.
It's a series, yeah. It goes into a lot of detail about what Mark's spoken about today, but really telling it like a story. So you really go on the journey with him and Asunta through the whole process when, for much of the time, people were not communicating with them very well about what was the condition, what had happened. Mark in particular trying to understand and how he adjusted, relating back to his previous work and would he be able to get back to work. And then also just the struggles with, I guess, the questions that came up about a medical procedure like that and who, if anyone, is maybe held responsible, like did something go wrong. And so that's really, the podcast goes through that like step by step.
Oh, wow.
The episodes are about 20 minutes usually, 20 minutes long, although the last one comes in at a good 45. It's a bit long for Mark.
Awesome. So it sounds like it could be a good hour and a half or so of watching and viewing.
Educational entertainment, that's what it is.
Yeah. And I think also an awareness, which I'm sure that's what you're aiming to do with that, is just bring some awareness and highlight the different challenges that people come up against when they have something like that. And as life-changing an issue pop up that you just don't expect. So I suppose, looking at this clock there.
We've got 2 minutes left.
I suppose.
We hope that not only people who have experienced a brain injury can pick up the podcast and have a listen to it, but also what I'm searching for is health professionals might be able to get something out of it, to have some idea of what people go through that do have a brain injury and how they can be a bit more sympathetic to what's happening.
Kind of like a do's and don'ts. Okay, well, exactly. I ain't going to do that for the next time I come across someone in that situation. Maybe I'll change the way I view that.
Life, maybe social help, Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate you coming on today, Mark, and
my pleasure.
Appreciate you coming and chatting to us about the podcast and supporting Mark in his journey to speak about his podcast that he's created a little bit more. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a great honour to be able to do it.
Anyways, and I think we'll get you guys in a little bit later in the year, not too far away, but a little bit later, and we'll just touch a bit more on how the actual podcast was made and the things that went in to make that. And so we'll get you both on again because it will contribute some really great information there. Thanks.
Could be a bit like TV bloopers and blunders.
That could be quite entertaining.
You're allowed to say that because it's your show.
That's right.
If I said that, it'd be a different story altogether.
Thank you. So we'll get you back in, guys. And I suppose I'll sign off now and say thank you to everyone for listening. I hope you had an enjoyable lunch hour. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.